Another video response to Karina over there. There she is. So okay, right there. Cute. Anyway, here's the lovely Karina advocating that women should sell it, and should be free to sell it. And free to sell it would be really good for everybody. Win-win all over the place. And I don't think so. It's a tiny percentage of people that would win. So anyway, later in the video, she has some other people commenting on their experience in the profession. It was different elements of the sex selling game. It wasn't like she interviewed any 13-year-old prostitutes in Taiwan or anything. But anyway, that's probably irrelevant to her argument, so I won't be unfair. But anyway, it was sort of a giveaway. It was, the guy who was, selling it, just pays his bills, conceded that most of his clients were married men. So right there we got the first problem argument. Okay, so if the government's going to sanction prostitution and at the same time it's going to sanction marriage contracts between individuals, well, there's going to be a problem there, right? So do we set up a law where, the only way a married man could see a prostitute legally is if he has a permission slip from his wife? I was going to say his mother, but his wife. And what about underage kids? So maybe a permission slip from the parent saying it's okay for Johnny to see a prostitute. How you organize this is really the key to it. So you have to have some sort of plan for how you implement legalized prostitution. Because, in effect, it's legal now. It's not exactly like millions of people going to prison and horror all over the place in the prostitution racket. So it's de facto legal if you're a little bit clever and smart and discreet. And that's sort of the other question. If we're going to legalize it, then could women go to a bar and solicit sex? Can they do it on the street? Do they come up to me on the street and give me their card with some little, jewels on it? The business name's going to be like Jewel, or something. And the whole thing just gets so ugly, and it just denies. To keep talking about this like it's any other job. No, it's not any other job. It's a job completely focused on how somebody looks. It's less than an actor. An actress at least has to have some sort of competence to do something else. It's some kind of tacky beauty contest, like the worst kind of beauty contest. And so it's not like people with two hands and two legs, and they're offering their services, for compensation to do work. And no, it's like selling. I'm not going to call it heroin, but we know it's an addictive substance. It's a compulsive, seductive thing, and it's just not. There's got to be different rules for when you're playing with something that's that seductive, that addicting, that where somebody can be seduced so easily. That's seductive, seduced. These are easy words, but there's not too many things in the world that have that nature about them. Okay, it really is nothing else like sex. And maybe it should be considered a little differently than washing dishes or scrubbing floors. It's a little bit different, and not to concede that difference is kind of silly, I think. Because I think there'd be a real problem. It's not only prostitutes getting exploited by men, but it's prostitutes exploiting men. There's two sides to this equation, and maybe the feminists are focused on the women getting exploited, but there's a lot of men getting exploited. Their desire, their loneliness, their dissatisfaction with their marriage, a lot of things. And if you give women license to take advantage of that ache and that pain and that desperation, it's not going to be a good result. It's not going to be, humanity's not going to be made whole, this is going to cause a lot of problems, because men get drunk and they do something stupid and then they end up with herpes, and then they take it home to their wife, and who's going to pay those bills, so to speak? I mean, both realistically, practically, and in a real way. I mean, society. This is a social cost that this will create. And then then anything you do to regulate it, anything you do to make it cleaner, will make it more expensive. Will make it so married men don't have access. So now you're still going to have the black market. So what you're going to do is going to create two markets now. There'll still be a black market, and then there'll be a regulated market. And so then you're just creating a two-tier system, or maybe a three-tier system. Because maybe if you're rich enough, then you can buy like virgin prostitutes. Like they could sell themselves like only used 100 times, or some kind of, they got special features like government guaranteed, no disease free or something, and you pay a little extra for that, a lot extra maybe. This doesn't go anywhere. And even the whole focus of this argument, as if it's some sort of feminists who are giving a damn about women giving away the last bit of their dignity for money. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You're really giving away your dignity when you're sucking a man's cock for money. That's like the last, dude. That's the last thing you got, right? What else is there? She can shit on you. He can piss on you. So I mean, it's pretty low down on the scale. And and you'll argue with women who are concerned with that indignity. But you're not arguing with the 90% of the political force that's against legalization, the 90% force, which is the religious doctrine force. Argue with that argument. Argue with the religious nuts who are using their Bibles and their Korans to impose sexual morality. But this is just a bad argument. The enemy is the wrong enemy, both from an ethical and a reasonable and a pragmatic position. Okay, so you don't see you see more benefit than harm. But I think to do that, you have to see less harm than there really is, in my opinion. And you have to see it as some sort of, you like selling sex is no worse than washing dishes or scrubbing floors or taking anal temperatures or whatever the comparison's going to be. I'm sorry. I mean, if I had to give away my sexuality at this cheap price, and also risk what you're risking by getting into that kind of behavior in terms of acquiring some fatal disease, sorry, I can't, no sale. I think it's a bullshit argument. So, anyway, whatever. I mean, I don't even know why this is an argument. Like I said, it's de facto legal in a lot of places. It's not the most aggressively enforced law in the world. And like I said, if a woman who enjoys the liberty and isn't just in it for the money, she has the liberty. I mean, you're pretty free to be a slut. No one's stopping you. And as long as you're a little discreet and you're not just selling yourself on the street, you're going to be able to be a prostitute and make a living doing it. But if you're going to get greedy about it, then you might get caught. So, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm for regulation in the sex industries, but this idea of some sort of notion of just legalization without some sort of definition doesn't mean anything to me. It's nonsense. Like I said, are you going to have a law, a prohibition against people who have entered into a marriage contract and committed to certain behavior, certain monogamous behavior? Are you going to allow those people to violate that contract? Just saying. I mean, who's going to keep track of who's got what diseases? Just saying. Anyway, will prostitutes be allowed to see your medical records? as verification. I mean, if they want to really protect themselves, guarantee their customers that they don't sleep with people that have diseases. Maybe would they have a right to just say you can voluntarily let me see your medical records? I mean, this gets a little complicated. It's not so simple. So anyway, enough of a video. Not a great subject. Just not in this context. Not in this. This is too cursory a smash at it, in my opinion.